Alright, hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Ski Tutorials. This is the live Q&A slash Game Dev Talk live stream. So how's everybody doing today? Yes, so we had a couple of technical difficulties, so hopefully the stream doesn't just shut down like it did a second ago. Hopefully that was a one-time thing. So yeah, where is everybody from today? And yes, well, I might as well. I heard you guys talking about prototype recoil before the live stream started, so I might as well pull it up and play a little bit of it as we wait for the questions and the topics and stuff like that to start rolling in. Let me make this window smaller. Alright, we got somebody from Spain. Guess where I'm from. Sweet, we got two people from Spain, United Kingdom. It sounds like whatever. Oh yeah, because let's see, because I'm at 3 o'clock right now, and I'm in the United States, and because of where I am in the United States, it pretty much just goes like lower than that. So on the, I'm trying to think, west, on the west side of the United States, or is it the east side? No, the west side. On the west side, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning right now, so I don't get up before 11 o'clock in the morning on a weekend. So, Kalamazoo? Is RuneLink from Kalamazoo? That'd be kind of cool. That's where I'm from. 9 p.m. here. Sweet. Montreal, Canada. Cool. Netherlands. Oh, RuneLink is from the Netherlands. I have a friend who's in the Netherlands right now. What's this link here? Huh, this looks pretty cool. Who sent me this? Or Ho Spartan Gaming made this, I guess. That's pretty sweet. Is that what the Netherlands looks like right now? Or is that what RuneLink 2 was the one that said he was from the Netherlands? We got somebody in Texas. Cool, we got people from all over the world right now. That's always what's so cool about these live streams, and I've definitely really noticed that the people who tune into my live streams, or like where they are from around the world, really depends on when I actually hold the live stream. One of these days I'm going to do a video where I just like take a poll from everybody and just ask, what country are you from and when is the best time for a live stream for you? But I'll do like an official video on my channel one of these days so that I can like really fine tune exactly like the whole live streaming schedule. So yeah, does anybody have any questions or topics they want to talk about Unity or game development? Doesn't have to be just Unity. We're also talking about game development here. Actually, on the Show Your Work live stream, we had a couple of games, I think, that were non-Unity games. Let's talk about DLC and Unity3D. Has anybody played a Unity 3 game that has DLC in it? I actually don't think I have. I don't really know how you would pull that off. How would you get DLC into a Unity game? I'm sure there's a way. It just seems like it'd be complicated. It seems like with Unity games, like, I'm trying to think, like, out of all the games that I've made, it's almost easier to just re-download the entire game, because I've never made a game that's over, like, 200 megabytes. So it's really not that big of a deal to just re-download the entire game if you have DLC, or to just make, like, a sequel or something. I think that's something I would rather do than DLC. I don't know, I think it would be more stable. Like, or I don't know, I've just never done DLC before, so I'd be afraid that I'd do it wrong, and people would buy the DLC and it would just get all messed up. But wait, because when I use a large train, it likes to glitch with the models. You know, I've never actually used a large train before. I've seen assets on the asset store that let you seam together multiple terrains. to make one big terrain, but I think they're still technically separate terrains. Maybe that's something that you need to look into. Does anybody happen to know a link to that? Because I don't remember. I'd have to Google search it. I saw it a long time ago, but I know something exists. It like you just like line up the terrains next to each other and you press a button and it'll line up all the hills. So maybe that would help you out. You could do like 4 medium-sized terrains instead of one gigantic one. Maybe then you would have less glitches. I think a zombie game on iPhone has downloadables. Zombieville USA. I know that was a pretty big back in the day when I first started getting into Unity and mobile games. Zombieville USA was one of the really like big examples that people would always use to go like, yes, Unity can make 2D games because it was a really successful 2D game. Contract Wars. I've heard of Contract Wars, which I can't remember what it's like though. I know that name. I know I've seen that game. If it would be a multiplayer, then DLC sounds better. Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense just in general game design. I mean, it seems like multiplayer is a really like ongoing thing, whereas single player, I think for most people, it's pretty much you beat it and you're done and you got your experience. Whereas multiplayer, I think it's something that has more of an addictive nature and a competitive nature, really, that really makes you keep on playing. Oh, there's Contract Wars. We'll check that out in a second. What was I talking about? But yeah, like multiplayer, really like there's much more of an incentive to keep playing, even though you haven't like reached the end of the multiplayer. Like nothing like that. See you later, Elusive Interactive. I don't really know where I was going with that, but the point is that, yeah, I can see where DLC kind of fits better on a multiplayer game as opposed to a single-player game because you're increasing the longevity of the multiplayer game, whereas the single-player game, there's kind of like a set experience that, like, once you're done with it, you're done with it, and you can only... DLC is only making it go a little bit farther, whereas multiplayer would take it a lot farther. All right, let's take a look at Contract Wars. Let's open a link in new window. What is this? Oh, I can just close the ad. All right. Contract Wars. Oh, I think... All right, I'll play a little bit of this. I think I've seen this before. Play Contract Wars. I'm guessing it's a browser-based Call of Duty. Play. It looks like I legitimately need to be signed up for Congregate or whatever it's called. I can't just hit play and play. Usually that's how these... Oh, game. Play. Nope, it's not going to happen. Oh, well. But, yeah. I don't really understand those games. There's so many of them. That's what I don't understand. Like, I understand why one exists, but why are there like 50 million of those games? Like, I guess I'd have to play Contract Wars to like really get into it and really see personally firsthand. But like, have you guys noticed that there are so many games that are just, let's face it, Call of Duty knockoffs, and they're just a free version that you can play in your browser with slightly not as good of graphics. But like, when it really comes down to it, where's the uniqueness? That's something I still haven't been able to wrap my head around. Like, just, especially within the Unity community. It seems like that'd be much more prevalent within, like, the Unreal community or the Crytek engine community. Like, that would make total sense. But why the Unity community? Like, Unity is so good at making, like, games that... Like, there's so many better engines for making first-person shooters than Unity. Or that make it much, much more easy. I guess. I don't know. How do you create third person or first person? Are you saying like how do you create how do you go from a first person and convert it into a third person? I mean, you pretty much just pull the camera back so that you can see your player, and then with Oh, who is more easy? Which is more easy? First person shooter, I think, is typically more easy to do than a third person shooter. Because with a third person shooter, you need to create your character and you need your character to have animations and you need to see your character interacting with things. Whereas with a first person shooter, all you need to do is slap in a gun and you can even like pull it back a little bit and only see the top of the gun, and then you don't even need to worry about hands. And that like just sit, and you don't need to put animations on a gun really. I mean, you can do animations where it just does this when you're walking and just have it move a little bit like when you're reloading. So you can definitely pull off a first person shooter easier than a third person shooter, I think. FPS is better in wait better okay, I guess Northblade was going to finish his sentence. If you have multiplayer, it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is the problem with doing live streams. I look away from chat for like a second, and I just totally miss what is going on. So I guess I'll scroll up and try to figure out. Whoops, I did it. Got better. I'm trying to find like a single coherent sentence. Do you use the pro version of Unity? I do not use the pro version of Unity. I cannot afford it. It's really expensive, and I don't have that kind of money at this point in my life, but I don't need it. And that is a major thing. Like, I am on my third Unity game, and I have not been limited at all by Unity Basic. The only thing that Unity Pro really gives you is a couple of visual effects. And I mean, pathfinding. I mean, there really is a giant handful of things that you do get with Unity Pro, but there's nothing in Unity Pro that's just blatantly stopping you from making a game or making a good game. You can like that's another huge thing. It's like it's not even just features. It's like there's nothing stopping you from creating a good game in Unity Basic. Like, it can even be a great looking game. It can still have amazing graphics. It's just you're not going to have motion blur, depth of field, bloom, and other visual effects. And what else does Unity Pro have? I guess there's the Unity Pro Water. You also have Pro Water, and then you have the pathfinding that comes in Unity Pro is really doesn't matter that much anymore because there's a lot of AI pathfinding solutions, and there's a lot of them out there for free too if you still don't want to spend money. But there's pathfinding solutions that are definitely better than Unity Pros and are cheaper than Unity Pro. So if you're looking for pathfinding, you don't need Unity Pro. Oh yeah, you also have occlusion calling. That's pretty big too. Where like it will only draw objects if you can actually see them. That actually is a pretty good system. But I mean, it depends on what game you're making. I think occlusion calling is probably the most effective in a first-person shooter, but I guess games in general. I think if your game has a bunch of tiny little objects, like I saw a tutorial a long time ago on how to use occlusion calling, and they showed like the best case scenario for when occlusion calling would be the most effective, and it was a room full of crates. There was just hundreds and hundreds of crates. So that was like the best scenario for occlusion calling because like those crates you wouldn't be able to like. It took it down from having the computer having to draw like 1,000 crates down to like 100 crates because it would only draw the crates that you could see. So yeah, occlusion calling would help a lot in that situation. But I mean, if it really comes down to it, it really comes down to good artwork. If you really like, what it would be more efficient to have good artwork than it would be to have occlusion calling. So you could have like 1,000 crates in the room and then have your occlusion calling set up really well, but it would be much more efficient to just put all of those crates into a single model and just use texturing and like tiling and vertices and like UV mapping tricks just to make it look like there's thousands of crates when really it's all just like one or two meshes. That would actually be better than occlusion calling. So I mean, yeah, occlusion calling can help definitely, but there's ways around it that You don't need Unity Pro. So never think to yourself that, oh, I can't make a game unless I have Unity Pro. You do not need Unity Pro. Like, it's cool if you can afford it and you want the features and those features are worth the money to you, but you don't need it. Did you make your own pathfinding scripts from scratch? I did. They're not very good though. I mean, I mean, I guess I would still recommend my AI pathfinding tutorials, but like, because they're good for learning, I guess. They're good for getting your head started. Avitvex, it's Alexander. That's the guy who made the multiplayer, like, magic game. But anyways, I really got to stop myself from... What was I talking about? I was talking about AI pathfinding scripts from scratch. Actually, it was a funny story about how I made those AI pathfinding scripts, because what happened was that I just really didn't know where to start. I kind of did a little bit of research, and I was like, okay, I guess A star is a kind of theory that I'm supposed to be looking for. So I went on the forums and I asked everyone, like, does anybody just know any resources going over A star or anything like that, or just pathfinding in general, just basic theories to help me get started? And I got zero help on the forums. Nobody even sent me links to like any tutorials or anything or any yeah, so I got zero help. So what I ended up doing was I went to Wikipedia and I read like a little paragraph that, and like there's like a picture on the side of it that kind of explained how it worked. And from there, I eventually figured out the code. And actually, that was like within like a 24-hour period that I really like figured out the code, because I just remember like just working on it all day, like just having it just in my head. And then at the end of the day, I hit play and the guy follows me around. Or no, it wasn't even that. It was just I would have the door light up or something. The particular door that I needed the AI to move towards light up. And that was it. Like, it was like just the very beginning step. And then like by the very end of the day, I was finally like, yes, like finally, like accomplishment. So that was pretty weird, working on it all day and having it all be in my head. And then at the very end of the day, finally, I had something to show for everything that I was working on and researching. You are very intelligent to take your time and find out. And thanks, answer questions. Sorry for my bad English. Thank you, and you're welcome. And oh, didn't I answer your question about the third person to first person, or first person versus third person question? But yeah. So yeah, anyways, going back to that AI pathfinding stuff, I mean, it's good to get your brain working towards that direction if you want to figure out how to do AI pathfinding and get yourself started into that. But I mean, they're still pretty sloppy and there's definitely room for improvement. But, you know, is it possible to make 2D top-down games using 3D models? Absolutely it is. I'm trying to think if I know any examples from Unity. There's got to be some top-down shooters. But I mean, take a look at Prototype Recoil. It's not a top-down shooter, but it uses had my fingers in the wrong place. But it's using 3D models, but it plays like a 2D game. So this game's fully 3D. I have the camera moving around in 3D, and everything's 3D models. I actually don't even have any 2D planes in here. But but it plays like a 2D game. So all you got to do is lock it on the Z-axis. And I guess if you're doing a top-down shooter, you're going to want to lock everything on the Y-axis. Well, I guess you actually don't have to. The FPS... Oh, yes! That was the top-down shooter in Unity. Team Innov's Broken Earth. Why don't I pull up a YouTube video of that so that you guys can see? Actually, why don't I pull up my video of that game? So let's go to... I'm just going to go to Etisky 2. And it should be... Here it goes. So, yes. Here's an interview I did with Team Innov. But this is a multiplayer top-down shooter. And this is actually a really cool game if you guys want to check out the interview. It's kind of long, but it's pretty good information. Those guys were pretty cool. It's just the two guys working on this game. And they had some really unique ideas about this game. And like just the way that it plays, and like the way that they really want like freedom for the character, or for the players to play the game the way that they want, and they're trying to come up with rules. So it's not just like rules as in like you do this, this happens, this, and like this is how the game works. Like they I don't know how making that voice helped explain what I'm talking about. Hopefully that made sense. I don't think that voice, whatever. But anyways, the whole point of their game is like they have like physics in it and stuff, and everything's physics based, and stuff like you could throw a grenade towards somebody. I'm trying to think of the exact example they said inside of there, but like stuff like you could throw a grenade towards somebody, and that grenade had real physics, so you could like shoot a rocket launcher at a wall and make that grenade fly in this direction or something along those lines. Don't quote me on that, on exactly the things that you can do in this game, but that was the kind of freedom they're trying to create. They're trying to allow for player creativity and let people get really creative in the way that they fight each other. So it's not just this is how you play, this is how you win. They're giving freedom for people to get creative. And innovation, which is the name of their team. Team Innov. Innov is basically the word shortened innovation. So yes, having problems with the live stream downloading. Well, are we still live? It looks like we're still live, so there's really nothing I can do. Sorry about that. Northblade asks, talking about multiplayer, I could use some tutorials on networking. Would a game need to be scripted from the beginning for networking, or can I guess you're saying single player game be modified for multiplayer easily? Well, there's definitely going to need some modification because you got to take into account stuff like you need because like say it's a first person shooter. Let's take first person shooter as an example. It really, like, everything that's happening is an illusion. Every time, like, if you see a player, like you look over and like there's a player over there, the player isn't physically right there. Really what you're seeing is a character model meant to emulate where that other character is inside of their own world. So everybody has their own world, like, that emulates everybody else's worlds. So it really depends on your game. It might be easy to modify. It might be easier to start from the ground up. It depends on a lot of different things, and it really depends on your game, but it's definitely possible. But yeah, I've heard different things. Like, I've heard some people say that you gotta start from the beginning, and I've heard some people say that it's really easy to modify. Yeah, I know. Let's see. Well, somebody just posted up a video, so yeah, I think what I need to do is I eventually need to go like on my etskitutorials.com, and I need to just make a list of other people's tutorials that I like that I can refer people to, because I can never remember all of them. I just need to create a list so it's always right there, so I just refer people to my list. Currently using sphere colliders. I guess let's take a look at this and see what it is. Close out a Team Innov's video. I saw this before. This looked really interesting. It's like a real physics BMX game. I really like how there's no player, like there's no actual character on the bike itself. I think that adds a lot to the game, actually. I mean, plus I don't know if this game would play the same if you put a character on it. It's really cool how like real physics that is. But yeah, I don't know if that was meant to be an example for anything. It was just cool. How do you go about breaking down a huge game idea into something smaller? Having trouble with this, so I can start making my first game. Yeah, that is a very good question. I'm trying to think of ways that you can break your game down. Usually whenever I start with a game, I start with the main player character movements. So I guess this won't apply to every single game. But I'm assuming that you have a game that you have a character that runs around, runs, jumps, whatever the character does. Um, so I usually start with that, just figuring out how I'm going to make the character move. Um, and yeah, I guess you got to decide, like, do you want to use a character controller? Do you want to use a rigid body? You got to take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of both of those and figure out which one of those you want to go with. Um, I mean, I guess I've seen a lot of people take the approach of creating multiple prototypes. So if they just don't know exactly how they're going to make a very specific thing work in their game, they create a new project that's just a blank project that that one thing that they don't know exactly how they're going to make, that's the only thing that they focus on in that project. And once they get a working version of it, then they kind of redo their work or transfer their work into their like actual current project with their player in it and stuff, and then get the two of them to work together. Or just take like or you can instead of copying it over, you can just take like what you learned from creating that prototype and then rebuild it again into the game, and then that way you're potentially have less glitches because you're like building it within to the game. um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of if there's any other last bits of advice I can give as to how to organize your thoughts. um, I guess you got to break down all the different things that you need and how you're going to plan out your game, like character models, animations, sound effects, textures. Yeah, you're gonna figure out. You got to figure out like what way do you want to approach all of those things? Like, are there any of those things that you can leave out? Like, maybe you could make a game that just the way it's designed, you don't need animations. Or maybe you want to build everything out of cubes, then you don't really need models. That like makes your models go by much faster. Um, yeah, I guess just things like that. All right, why don't I move on to the next question? ETSki, what is your opinion on a game that is inspired by Mario Kart, but with real cars and weapons? Um, wasn't there a game that just came out that I can't remember the name of it, like Rush, maybe? I want to say it was made by Disney. It was like it wasn't like a Disney game, but it was made by Disney the company. Blur. That was it, Blur. Yeah, I guess that's my opinion. Blur. I mean, Blur was actually a really cool game. I mean, I'm not a huge racing game guy, but Blur definitely kind of like, uh, it was refreshing. Like, I don't know, because I don't want to say that there's like too many racing games, because it's definitely like a niche where people are just like, I like racing. Like, I can definitely see that. There's a lot of strategy and there's just a lot that goes into racing. Um, and also like sports games. Like, why did they come out with a new football game, the new Madden NFL? They come out with one every year, and they're like all exactly the same to the untrained eye. Like, I just don't understand sports, so all of those games look the same to me. But I mean, like, I guess I like it when they try to bring in new people into the genre that aren't like. So I don't know, Blur looked like a good mix between um casual player or people who don't like racing and people who are racing fanatic. Good mix of realism and just crazy fun. So yeah, I guess that's my opinion. Where are we? Looking at look for. Oh wait, I guess Zictor is talking to somebody else. Okay, good idea on. A good idea is to put real weapons in real cars. I don't know, if you think about it, like, what if Blur was realistic? I don't think that game would be fun if it was realistic. It would just be like, well, I guess it'd be like leaning out your window and trying to shoot out tires and stuff like that. Like, because you can't even shoot exploding barrels in real life. They don't actually explode, even if you have tracer rounds. I saw the Mythbusters episode. Itiski, have you ever considered teaching game dev for money in the real world, not online? I have considered it. I really actually want to do that, like have like a class or something. Um, I would actually love doing that. But I need to find a place to do it. I don't know, because like I wanted to do it like at my local library or math. I don't know. There's some sort of like math school center that maybe I could do it with, but I mean, um, I don't know. I guess I just really got to look into it and I got to start asking around. But that is something that I considered. I think that would be really fun to teach like a class, like a summer class or something. Like if I could go back in time when I was like 15, I would so take a class from me, present day, future. Anyways, I think that would be a lot of fun to teach a class like that. The problem is like getting a bunch of computers and getting a bunch of computers with Unity on them and like figuring out like all the legal issues of teaching Unity and getting paid to teach Unity. Because I think it's only in a school setting that Unity actually cares, and I think you have to be making over a certain number of dollars per year, which if you are making over that amount of money per year, then you don't have a problem. But anyways, Itiski, are you interested in looking for a game dev group? I guess I don't really know whether you're talking about online or in person. So I guess I will answer both. As far as online goes, in the meantime, I sort of have my ears open, my ears and eyes open, whatever analogy. But I'm not really actively looking for a team to team up with. I sort of want. I don't know exactly whether I'm going to keep Prototype Recoil fully just myself working on it. That's the way I'm designing it right now. I'm trying to design it in a way in which I can do it all myself. Because if I design it that way, if later on I do decide to bring somebody else in on it, it will be good, I guess, because the game's already efficiently planned. So that's really what I'm going for, is I want it to be as efficient as possible for me to create this game. Yeah, so I don't know whether I'm going to be creating it like 100% from scratch myself, like I did Robot Zombies. Most likely, I think at least for the first version. I don't know if I'm going to be coming out with multiple versions, and yeah, I don't know. But anyways, the other part of the question was getting a game dev group, like not online, so like in person. I have considered that, but the major problem is that when you whittle it down to just people in your local area, the number of people that are available like is just way less than online. Like online, there's just millions and millions of people to talk with, and there's just so many more possibilities of people to collaborate with. Whereas when you do it local, there's only so many people interested in game developments, especially in the area that I live in. So probably won't do a game group in person unless I meet some people that are really good, and because like everybody, I don't think I ever met anybody who has made a video game who lives near me. Yeah, I don't think I have. All right, I better read this question from DCamish because he spent a long time writing it. So, no, scroll back. I'll read that one too, but I'll read this one first. Okay. What do you think of the idea of a game I am going to work on? A zombie game where you start as a zombie and you have to kill humans to grow levels and eat their brains, and then you slowly get more intelligent throughout each level, and as you grow levels, some zombies attack you and some humans don't, and the end goal is to create a queue for yourself. That's kind of the basic idea. That sounds very interesting. The real question is, can you make a game that elaborate? Because that is a pretty elaborate storyline. I mean, I'm definitely not going to say that, no, you cannot make that. I mean, the question is, in your head, are you visualizing that as a AAA game, or are you visualizing that as a very simple indie game? And also, I mean, I've never seen any of your games before, so I don't know what kind of skill level you're at or anything along those lines. But yeah, I think that could potentially be whittled down into something that can definitely be indie. Because if, like, you really got to do is you got to take, like from everything that you explained to me, like, what is really, really important. Like, it sounds like kind of, I don't know. It sounds like a really cool, interesting idea, really. Um, the question is how to turn that into game logic that is simple enough for you to create, which I think as far as game logic goes, as long as you're not trying to pull off like crazy AI, like maybe you just have it be level based, as in like you go from level to level or like world to world or sector to sector, like not leveling up as in RPG leveling, but like level as in like Mario levels, where you have like every level, like maybe just the zombies and humans just behave differently, and then that way it's just entirely story based, because it would be a little bit hard to make dynamic AI that react to you differently depending on what level you're at. But I mean, it's still possible. I mean, I think that sounds great for like a top-down shooter or something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. I think that sounds like a pretty cool idea. Okay, Vipvex asks, "Hey Etiski, I have a programming school near where I live called Ucode. They teach Unity 3D there and a bunch of other game development related stuff. I'm very good with Unity. I know that. I've seen your stuff. You are good with Unity. And I may get a job there as a teacher soon. Holy crap, that's awesome. I think you should really look around your city and if there are any game development schools around and suggest them to hire you." Well, I do. There is a game development branch. I don't know, more like a game development course within my local community college. I took 2 classes from them, and they showed one of the first things they showed us was the project reel, or I guess project reel is the right word for the final year class students. So like the top like supposed to be like, you go through all of our classes and this is how awesome you'll be. Like they're just showing like last year's students' best work from the highest up class. And it was, compared to stuff that I've seen online, compared to stuff that you guys have showed me, like you guys have showed me way, way cooler things than the stuff from that demo reel. Like they were just houses. I mean, I don't want to like say that those students were bad at what they did, but like it wasn't real video game development. It was kind of like they got to modeling, and that was like the highest they got to. So but I was considering the possibility of working in there, but the problem is that I think that they want a actual teacher, like somebody with a teaching degree, which I do not have. I don't even have a good standing from high school. All right, I don't know if GPA is like an across the board across all countries, but let's just say 4.0 is basically Einstein, is the best you can possibly get. And I was at like 1.8 or like 2 or something like that. I had terrible grades in school or high school. So I definitely cannot use high school as a way of saying, yeah, you should hire me. Like I hated high school, so I can't use that towards my advantage. Oh, I'm missing a lot of things. But yeah, I would love to teach a class. I really should look around and see if I can find anything like that. Let's see what in the heck this link is. Oh, a racing game. Yep, made in Unity. I can see it looks like they just screen recorded this right with inside of the Unity editor, so we know this was made in Unity. This looks pretty cool. Looks like it has like, I'm trying to tell if it has like, oh, there's guns on it. There's an AK-47. Are there like 4 AK-47s on there? All right, now I know why somebody showed me this video. All right, stop that voice. I guess that was from an earlier comment. I think somebody said, check your Twitter. All right, I will. I just gotta scroll down. It would be so awesome if everyone had worked together to make a really cool game. Yeah, like a community-made game. I've often wondered about that. Like, if you found a way of organizing a giant group of people and then get those people to work together on a game, The only problem with that is that that would only work with artists. Yeah, it would be a messy game, but it'd probably be cool. Like it would be messy, that is for sure. But it would probably still be cool despite the messiness. It probably wouldn't be very performance optimized too. It'd probably also be a really big project file. Because what you really want to do with art is you want to create all your art within the same environment and like reuse as many materials as you can and reuse all your textures and try to combine as many meshes as you can, which could become very difficult if you have artists from everywhere. But I mean, that would be something really cool. Just be a matter of coming up with like a website where people can like log in and upload and like do cool stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, we still got to do a game jam on this live stream. I will figure that out and when we're going to do it, because we also have an interview coming up 6 days from now. Saturday, I don't know. There's a video on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out, but there's going to be an interview, so that Saturday is taken up. So yeah, I got to figure out this whole live streaming schedule. But yeah, I got to do a game jam. I got to do Dev Learns Live. So got to figure out when I'm going to be doing those. But yes, definitely. I really, really want to do a game jam on live stream. I think that would be so much fun. Also got to get a team together for that. I'm thinking like 4 people maximum, like 4 people including myself. Like otherwise, more people than that, it would get pretty hard to organize. At least for the first one. Maybe it would be easier once we get like good at it. What's the usual length for your live streams? There is no usual length yet. Gonna try to keep them to an hour. But like I've had live streams go for like 2.5 hours. This one will probably go for like an hour, probably like hour 20 minutes. Let's be honest. But my goal was to have it end in an hour. But yeah. So, but I think like the game jam live stream, that'll be like 3 or 4 hours or more, maybe something like that. Like I'll probably just like leave my day open so that I can live stream like all day and we'll just keep going. I don't know how we're going to do the game jam thing, but we'll figure it out. All right, let's go to Twitter. It Hurts says, I think people don't know what a good game really means. It doesn't mean Call of Duty. It doesn't mean good graphics. It means fun. Well, good is very subjective. It depends on what you define as a good game. Like, take a look at, was it Battlefield 4 on PC? Amazing graphics. Like, technically amazing graphics. Like, amazing lens flares. Like, looks really, really, really good. And a lot of people find it fun. And there's also many different kinds of fun. Like, a lot of people find it fun, but, like, me personally, I find it, like, it's not very fun to me because it's like, okay, it's just like, once you get over how to play the game and once you figure out all the rules, like, first of all, there are set rules. Like, this is the way you win. Like, there's no creativity for me personally, or like I haven't played it enough to really know, but it feels like there's no real creativity in the competitiveness in the gameplay. But then once you get past that, it feels like whoever has the fastest twitch finger, like whoever has the quickest reflexes and goes, I shot you in the head. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fun to me. And what I like, I guess it's really going back to like those all of these web browser Call of Duty knockoffs that just keep on popping up out of Unity. I don't know why people keep making them. Like, I understand on a hobbyist level. I very, very much understand. Like, you love Call of Duty, or all right, I'm generalizing, but say you have a favorite game and it's a modern military first-person shooter. There's nothing wrong with that. So like, and then like, if you want to just try to do your best to emulate your favorite game or a game that you really enjoy playing and that you're very familiar with and that all your friends are very familiar with and stuff like that, I mean, it makes sense why you would want to make a game like that so that you can, I mean, it's a great way to learn, and like, it really gives you really, really good perspective. Like, if you if you take a look at Call of Duty or Battlefield or Black Ops or whatever, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do my best to copy that as one person or a team of like 3 people, like, and it gives you perspective, and then you then learn like, wow, a lot goes into this Call of Duty game, and copying it myself is really, really hard, and like, it's a great way to learn. But there's so many that like go beyond that. Like there's like people who make them, and like they're obvious, like, all right, you're obviously really, really good with Unity and making games. So why the hell didn't you create something creative? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I just don't understand it, and like, yeah, like I totally understand. I don't know. I'm just starting to repeat myself now. So let's move on to the next question. Would you play a hyper-realistic war game considering how war really is? Well, a hyper-realistic war game, you would be sitting in a trench for like 5 hours while waiting for something to happen, and then you would hear some explosions, and then you would, I don't know, I've never really been in war. I'm just kind of assuming that war really isn't as fun as video games make it out to be. The difference between war in a video game and like even hyper-realistic war, I mean, you have to worry about going to the bathroom. You have to, I mean, it seems like there's a lot more strategy, and there's a lot more, like, I think realistic strategy just isn't fun compared to video game strategy. Because video game strategies, you can be like, okay, I'm going to jump off the ledge of this building and do a dive roll and shoot that guy in the head and throw a grenade here. Like, that kind of stuff does not happen in real war. Yeah, war in real life is a lot of nothing. Yeah, it's a lot of nothing, and then somebody dies. Like, somebody you're really close to, and then it's really emotional because it's real life. And then, like, it also depends on what war you're in. Some wars really desensitize you to war, like the Vietnam War. I remember watching, like, a movie documentary on that, and, like, holy crap, that was a dirty war. There's a lot of really dirty wars. But, yeah. But, yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any, like, hyper-realistic games. There was, what was it? Army? There's like an army game, like, that was like, it was fun. I believe that it was like funded by the government or the military, but it was a game that was totally Arma 2. Was that it? No, that's not what I was thinking of. There was a game that was like within the game, like main menu, you could like press a button and it would go to the sign up. There's America's Army. That was it. That's what it was. And there's like a button in the main menu to go to sign up to become a soldier, pretty much. And yeah, I played that in my video game design class, and like we were talking about that game for like a week, and like that game was very boring. It was very, very boring. That was like the most realistic war game they could make, and it wasn't even really that realistic. Like when you went to go to resuscitate somebody, you would click on buttons on the screen. Like they really should have made it more like well, I don't want to say exactly like Surgeon Simulator 2013, but I mean, if Surgeon Simulator 2013 could create that, then America's Army could create something a little bit more fancy than just click the hell or trachea tube or something like that, and or like click bandages, and or click adrenaline shot, and like I think you had like 4 options, and you had to like read to see like what the person needed, and it was kind of like, I don't know. I think they could have done way better, especially if they had funding from the military. But yeah, war is not fun. War is stupid. Humanity needs to stop going to war. All right, I got to stop getting political because I almost started getting political in my last live stream. But yeah, war is stupid. Keep war inside of video games. We should just instead of war, we should just play video games against each other. Like instead of like, yeah, that'd be awesome seeing politicians just like, all right, let's go 1v1 lockout, no snipers. And then the humanity would be a better place. Yeah, where those games don't exactly stop the US war machine. I would talk about that, but then I'm going to start getting political. I agree with what you say. All right, one last thing I'm going to say about politics, and like one thing I really hate about America and the United States is I saw a commercial where literally there's these two teenagers playing a video game. They're like, yeah, yeah, killing, cool. And like then the soldier pops out of the TV screen and go, hey, you guys are pretty good at this. You should do this in real life. That commercial pissed me off. That was such... I hated that. That was so stupid. That was so offensive to me, and now I know why. Any country that hates America, I now know why, because of that commercial. All right, I'm going to get out of politics now. Who wants to talk about religion? I'm just kidding. All right, let's click on what is your opinion on this car? We're on YouTube, okay. And this is an ad.
The average person.
Water saving toilet, awesome. Okay, sweet. Miniguns. This reminds me of, what was that one 007 game? Sweet, I like how the miniguns really spin and light up. That's pretty cool. And rockets. This really reminds me of that one 007 game. It was like I don't know, it was probably called 007 Super Rush or something like that. Who knows what it was called. It was for GameCube? Might have been 64. I don't know, it was a long time ago. So yes, I'm going to scroll backwards and try to find something. Oh, a Twitter interaction. Do you have any tips for beginner tutorialists? Sure, let's talk about that. Oh, actually, Hertz, I think I got your message from earlier. You just reminded me of that. You asked me to take a look at your tutorials, and I missed that. But I guess now I can answer your question. Or I guess just in general tutorial tips. I do have a couple of tutorial tips. First, get your video quality to the point where people can very, very clearly see what is on your screen. I'm at fault for this for a couple of I believe it was my RZ Tuts 1 and 2. The letters are a little bit blurry and it's a little hard to read, but it's still, you can still read it if you go into 1080p. But I mean, really, like one trick that is pretty much a fail-safe, I think, is that if you actually change your computer screen resolution while you're recording to 720p, and then you export your video after you edit it in whatever editing program you use, whether that's iMovie, don't use Windows Movie Maker, don't use that. What else is there? I mean, whatever. Yeah, remember when I used to use a whiteboard and I had terrible handwriting? Yeah, so whatever editing program you're using, export it in 1080p. That way you have a 720p image that's blown up to 1080p, so that pretty much no matter what, it shouldn't pixelate or it shouldn't get weird. You should have very clear writing on your screen. And 720p, I think personally that's like right around the range where you're like borderline on the edge of having the right amount of workspace and the right number of pixels for people to be able to see. So that's my first piece of advice. That's the one thing you got to set on your checklist, is to make sure that your video is good enough for people to clearly see what is going on the screen. That's step one. Next step is audio quality. Do whatever you can to make your audio quality better. I know a lot of people probably don't want to spend money on a microphone. If you were to buy a microphone, I would probably suggest the Snowball, the blue Snowball, I believe what it is, but it's like $100. So most people probably, unless you're really serious about your tutorials, you probably don't want to drop $100. But I've seen people, like, if you're, like, let's say, for example, you're recording on a laptop and your laptop has a little built-in mic, I've heard that you can increase the audio quality by putting a blanket over top of the laptop and your head and kind of making, like, a fort with your, you know, like you used to do when you're, like, a kid and you're reading a comic book in bed and you got a flashlight and you put the blanket over yourself. Like, you create, like, a fort around your head, and, like, that, like, because of the way it blocks out outside noise a little bit more, and it helps keep the voice like inside and you get less echo. So that's one way that you can kind of get a rig increase audio quality. Another way is getting the microphone closer to your mouth. But as you can see on my microphone, I have a windscreen. You can get a rig up a windscreen out of like pantyhose. So if you want to go to the store and buy some pantyhose, or if you can get pantyhose from some other way so you don't need to awkwardly buy pantyhose from the store, or something that's a similar material, and then just wrap it around something, you can create a windscreen that way. But then, like, once you get a windscreen, that allows you to get the mic closer to your mouth. And the closer the mic is to your mouth, the better it's going to sound. But make sure that you adjust the audio levels. Let me show you how to do that real quick. At least on a PC. You're going to click on, I know it's hard to see, but down here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little speaker symbol where normally you just change your volume. Right-click on that, and then go to Recording Devices. And then I will pull that up here, and then I will click on that so you guys can see this window. And then you want to find the microphone that you're using. I got a lot of USB ones. I'm pretty sure it will show up in here. Also, depending on your audio drivers and how that's all set up. But you want to find your microphone. So for example, this is my microphone, so I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to go to Properties. And then I'm going to go to Levels. And then let me get in the same, dang it, I gotta exit out of that real quick, and then I gotta bring that back down. Okay, there we go. Now we can see what I was talking about. So what you want to do is you want to, like, if I raise this up really loud, this probably sounds terrible, right? And that should be back down to normal. So what you really want to do is you want to pretty much make it so that the loud at the yeah, sorry about that, guys. The loudest, like, do a couple of test sentences, and the loudest your voice ever gets to, you want to end like right up at the top of this bar, and then that's how you know that you got your audio levels good. And yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell how you're going to want to get good audio. And then let's see, what other tips do I have after that? Keep your intro short. If you notice, on my intro, it's only like 3 seconds long. Yes, Smosh is on the screen. Yeah, my intro is only like 3 seconds long. The shorter you can make your intro, the better. Think about it like, take a look at your videos and find out at what point does the information really start. Like, when do you actually get into the information that you're getting out there and what's important? And like, if you're looking at it and it's like a minute in, that's way too long. You want to keep that within, like, preferably under 30 seconds. Like, what you want to do is you want to get people's attention and let them know what the tutorial is going to be like. And for the people who know what information they're looking for, you want them to be able to jump in and get the information as quickly as possible. So you don't want to lose them before that 30 seconds, because the average attention span of people is about 30 seconds. What other tips do I have besides keeping your intro short and getting into the info quickly? Showing examples at the beginning of the tutorial is really good. So show people exactly what the end result of the tutorial is going to be, because I know a lot of people have the tendency, myself included, to skip to the very end of the tutorial and then look at how the tutorial ends, and then from there figure out whether or not that's a tutorial that I need. And then, so sometimes it's easier for people watching to just put that at the very beginning and make it very clear and say, this is what the tutorial is going to be going over. I'm trying to think if there's any other things. Explain everything that you're doing. Yeah, like, don't ever do this just because it works. Try to explain everything. Without going into too much detail, because there might be some people who blatantly already know that information. So that's something you're gonna have to target towards your audience. But in general, I think those are all my tips on tutorials. I guess. Oh, and don't be afraid to do multiple takes. Like, if you mess up, do another take. It's worth it to spend the extra. Say it's like a 10-minute long tutorial and it takes you 5 takes. I mean, it's worth the extra like 50 minutes of outtakes to get that one really good take. Because if you get a really good take and you get a really good tutorial out there, chances are that tutorial is going to go up higher. And then also try to gear your tutorials towards what you think that people want. Like try to take a look at trending topics and try to find tutorials that haven't already been covered or tutorials that you think that you can cover better. So yep, those are all my tutorialist tips. And hey, I have a question. How did you come up with Itiski? Is that your actual name? Whoops. Let me exit out of that. That meant that we have passed the 1 hour point. Yes, Itiski is my real name. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Can you help me fix shaking? Oh, I think you know what you're talking about with the FPS tutorials. One thing I think that might help, I'm not entirely sure, is you can change the fixed time step inside of Unity. Go to Edit, Project Settings, Time, and then change the fixed time step to a smaller number. Oh yeah, just to let you guys know, Itiski isn't my real name. It used to be an Xbox Live name. It's a combination, because my real name is Eric Tershinsky, so I always went by ET, but Itiski is always taken. So I switched from, I combined ET and my last name to make Itiski, and it just stuck, and I just kept using it. So yeah, that's to answer your question seriously. So yeah, I'm trying to think of other ways that you can fix shaking. I know that it's still a problem for me in Robot Zombies. It's still something in Robot Zombies that I gotta fix. I think in Robot Zombies, I'm gonna kind of try to redo a lot of what I did and try to make the gun a child of the camera. I think that will end up helping a lot. But we'll see. Combined, yeah, combined isn't a real word, is it? I use combined a lot. Do you know one way to fake real skies to have a sphere with the sky texture and have an animation of the sphere rotating? Yes, that is something I still want to do as a tutorial, which I have been meaning to do that for a long time. But yeah, that is what I did in Robot Zombies. Why don't I actually open up Robot Zombies and I could show you? So I'll go to Open Up Project. Here, I think is where it was. But yeah, it's kind of UV mapping. I had to go through a bunch of reiterations of UV mapping to figure out what UV mapping works best. And because my sky inside of Robot Zombies is kind of like, it's spacey and there's lots of stars, I was able to take one circle within the sky and make it like just bigger dots. I don't know. Here, let me find a scene so that I can show you guys. Let's go to this one, for example. And yeah, and then what you're going to want to do is take a secondary camera, and actually let me find my sky. I think I called it Sky Sphere. So my sky sphere is actually this tiny little ball that's just like a mile away from my main level. And let me make it bigger so that you guys can see. And, oh, I also made it inside out. So inside of the modeling program that I was using, I just selected everything and then I scaled it to -1. Or you can flip the normals. But basically I made it inside out so that when you are inside it, and looking around, it looks like a sky. So this part right here, it might be a little bit hard to see on the screen, but this part, oh wait, no, it's this big circle, is where the cut is, where it's like different stars. But let me show you the UV mapping. Let me show in Explorer and preview. There we go. So yes, let's turn on and off some layers. There's lots of layers going on. I'm just trying to get to the point. There you go. That's what the UV mapping looked like. No. That's different UV mapping. Maybe that's the UV mapping I used. Is this... What did I do? I just broke my sky. So that's what it ends up looking like. Yeah, that is what it ended up looking like. So yeah, basically that I had to model that. Don't save changes, no. Let's exit out of that. Don't save changes to that either. Yeah, that was a thumbnail for my reminder video. But yeah, and then what I did was I put, let me find the camera, Skysphere camera, and I might as well open it up so that you guys can see it. It's a really, really simple script. All I have it do is copy the field of view and the rotation of the main camera. So as you can see, this is the whole script. All I do is that I have it find the main camera, and I also have it do a couple of fancy things when the player dies, because I need the camera to change when the player dies. But besides that, pretty much it just copies. Let me zoom into this part because this is the important part. It just, actually I can get it all right there. All right, that what I have highlighted is the important part. So you just need a camera to sit inside of that sphere way off, away from your level, and just have it copy the main camera in that way. So I'll leave that up for a few more seconds. And we will go to Twitter and see what the new tweets we got were. Oh yeah, I forgot that you can't see. All right. Hey, I'm developing a game engine which is a little bit Unity-like. Would you be interested in getting an eye on it? Sure. I mean, building an engine up from scratch, that sounds interesting. Is that, if that's what you're doing? C++, I'm guessing? I don't know. But yeah, sure, definitely send me a link to that. I'd love to check it out. Yes. And the next one, oh, it's not FPS shaking. I wrote my own script, but I can't fix it. Any tips? All right, let's take a look at the video and see what we're looking at. Okay, I see. As you're trying to walk into walls. I see. And there's moving platforms. Okay. I'm guessing you're using a rigid body as your character. In which case, it would be better to use a character controller. I think especially with a platformer like that. Also, with a character controller, it'll be easier to do those moving platforms and stuff. Actually, I did make moving platforms in Prototype Recoil. I didn't show them anywhere because I didn't come up with any level design that seemed like it needed moving platforms. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of moving platforms, but I got moving platforms working in Prototype Recoil. But if I remember right, pretty much the main trick to make them work good is to make the player a child of the moving platform while it is on the platform, and then as soon as it jumps off, set parent to null. So that's like the simplest way, I think, to make moving platforms. It's hard to tell what's going on. Is there any more information? Nope, no more information in the description. Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. I'm guessing it's a maybe you're using a rigid body to detect collisions, and then you're coming up with your own code to do all of the movements. That could be causing the shakiness, in which case I would say you're pretty much already on the right track, but you should be using a character controller instead of a rigid body. The only time that you really want to use a rigid body is if you want the actual like physical rigid body movements to affect your player, kind of like in Robot Zombies, where like you can have like a box fly at your face, like a zombie can kick a box at you and like hit you, and you'll actually fly back a little bit. But anyways, what is the best way, in your opinion, to make a player swim underwater in an FPS? That is a good question. I guess if it were FPS 1, I would probably just turn gravity off, and then, well, I would want to then change the script. It depends. I think it's down to player preference. I think some people, me personally, I would like it so like if I'm looking up and then I hold down W, I go where I'm looking. Whereas I think some people would prefer to use like space bar and control to go up and down. So like jump and crouch to move their player up and down in the water, which I personally don't like. Um, but oh yeah, make the gravity really small and then you would sink. Yeah, I think that would definitely be probably the easiest way. Just be like if in water. The problem, yeah, I guess then you'd probably just make a big trigger for the water. Um, or you could actually make the gravity negative, and then your player would slowly float to the surface. And then as it gets to the surface, gravity would turn back on, and then it would start moving down, and then it would turn negative, and you'd get that kind of bobbing motion. I've never actually played around with making water in a game, so I couldn't tell you if that would work for sure, but I think that'd work. Let's scroll to the next question. Um, Cool, thanks. Yeah, it's C plus plus for the core engine and Oi Lua for the scripting. Let's take a look at it. I'm pretty sure I just burped on camera a second ago. Sometimes I forget that there's people watching me live. Extremed. Whoa, there's some good artwork. I don't know much about. Oh, sweet, you're using PhysX by NVIDIA. That's awesome. Um, Sweet. Oh, sweet. You got YouTube videos? Oh, you do have YouTube videos. Let's see what this is. Gangnam Style something? It's hard to tell what's going on. This is a lot like Unity. You weren't kidding. Oh, there it goes. I should probably pause that so that the let me mute it. I'll play the video, but I should pause the music because it potentially could get that blocked once I upload it to YouTube, which isn't a huge deal if it does, because you can always come back to Twitch and watch it there, but yeah. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on here. Maybe it's animation retargeting. Who knows? But yeah, that looks a lot like Unity. That's pretty crazy. You built that up from scratch. Oh, I like the moving lights. That's pretty cool. But yeah, what else can we find out about this? For making 3D interactive applications. Yeah, it kind of just sounds like a... Is this basically a Unity? You're just basically making your own Unity? Rip off of Unity. Itiski, what are your specs? I have 16 gigs of RAM. I have an Intel i7. I can't remember exactly what the gigahertz on that is. And then I have a GTX 660 Ti. And I have an SSD and a hard drive, and I think those are basically most of my specs. So the i7 and the 660 Ti, yeah, 16 gigs of RAM. I use that for video editing, because I heard that extra RAM helps with video editing, and to go up to 16 gigs was only like, it wasn't that much more. It was like 8 gigs or 16 gigs. I was like, well, I might as well go up to 16 gigs, and because it wasn't too much more to do that. But yeah. Not make an engine, just understand what's going on. Wait, were you trying to make an engine? Alright. Well, I lost chat. How do you create random terrain through script? I don't know. Quaternions suck. I know that I was going to redo my what is a quaternion video, because my what is a quaternion video is like like a year, maybe 2 years old now. Um, but yeah, no, quaternions. I'm trying to think. My only like gripe with quaternions, it has to do with quaternions and Euler angles. Like converting between the two. I kind of wish that quaternions really are awesome. I just wish that Euler angles and quaternions, like I wish Euler angles could act more like quaternions. Like if there was a way that just the math could be converted between the two on the fly much better. Um, Euler? I thought they were called Euler. Make up your mind. Everyone always tells me it's pronounced differently. I don't. I guess maybe it is Euler. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Eurel or something like that. I don't know. Euler, Euler. I don't know. Either way, we know what we're talking about when the x rotation around the x, y, and z axis, the three numbers, as opposed to the four really complex numbers that make up a quaternion. So yeah. Yeah, GameMaker is easier than Unity, that's for sure. You actually don't need any scripting for GameMaker. The one thing about GameMaker is that the free version, I haven't touched GameMaker in a long time, by the way, but the free version of GameMaker is a lot more limited than the pro version, but at least the pro version of GameMaker, I want to say it's under $50. It's very affordable. It's less than a video game. Like it cost either the same price or less than the cost of a new release AAA video game. So it's not too expensive. So yeah, I personally think it's worth it to jump up to pro, but I mean, you might want to try it first and make a test game in the basic version. Okay, pro is $40. All right, so that's actually a very good price for what it does. And like you can do any kind of 2D game with no scripting, and you can do a lot of cool stuff in it actually. So yeah, that's an engine I would recommend if you are much more casual about making games, and that's where I started. So yeah, let's go to Twitter and see what I'm missing. Wait, did I answer all the questions from Twitter? Oh. Do you have any tips on jumping in and starting on a game and not be scared of failure in case you can't do something? Let's see. Let me formulate an answer in my head. Well, I guess you got to look at what are you scared of. There's really nothing to be scared of, unless you have your goals way, way too high and you start committing way too much time into one thing. Like, let's say you had in your head that you basically wanted to make Call of Duty 5. I'm just going to use that as a bad example. Or let's say you come up with an MMORPG in your head, or you come up with some crazy idea in your head that's just this giant project. It's your dream game. It's like you dream about this game becoming a reality, but it's too big. What you want to, I mean, I've talked about this many times, but what you want to do is you want to take that idea and figure out what's most important about that idea and simplify it down. But I guess really what you should do is really focus on having fun. Like first spend a few days just getting in there, figure out just once you get your head wrapped around kind of how things basically work and you get some things working, just like once you figure out one thing, like I think physics is a good place to start. Like you can come up with some physics and then you realize like things that you can do with it and you're like, what if I do this? And then you all of a sudden now you have a game. And like what you got to do is you got to just keep doing stuff. Like you got to take a look at what you know and think, okay, what can I do to make this game like just what's something fun to do? Like, or like I have 10 minutes to kill before I have to go to class. What's something fun that I can do? To just mess around. Like I think that's like a really underutilized thing in game development is just messing around within your own game and just doing, you know what, let's just see what happens if I do this. Like you got to do stuff like that and come up with stuff like that and like I mean, don't be afraid of failure. Just have fun with what you're doing and then you really can't fail, because if you have fun with what you're doing while you're doing it, you've already succeeded. So I guess that would be my advice. Whoops, didn't mean to click on that. But anyways, I started a project a couple of years ago, and unlike Unity, it will be unlimited for non-commercial use. It will be, what does that mean? So unlike Unity, it will be unlimited for non-commercial use. So let's assume that you are, is this the same person that made their own engine? Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay. So it will be unlimited for non-commercial use. So that means that if, I don't know, I mean, the one thing about Unity is that you do have to pay them a cut of your game if your game makes over, like, I want to say it's like $10,000 per year. But the way I figure it is, like, if you're making $10,000 a year, and then you got to pay Unity, I want to say it's like you got to pay them, like, let's for example just say it was 10%. That's $1,000. So I guess that is a pretty big chunk of money, but it's like you got $10,000 though. So, but I mean, I guess yeah, that extra $1,000 would be nice to have. So, and also if you build your own engine from scratch, typically your engine is going to be much more performance optimized, and it's just simply impressive. And like you're going to have more freedom to do what you want because you control the engine because you created it. Yeah. I Oh, we are continuing on. For example, the deferred renderer is available for free. Is available for the free version of my engine and all that good stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, that's another thing because I saw you're working with like PhysX, and I assume you're also working with like just working with shaders and stuff like that. So yeah, that is another thing. Like if you can create the pro features, then you have those pro features for free. So um now what is this question? An ad popped up when you answered my question. Can you repeat what you said? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what your question was, but this video will be later uploaded to YouTube, so I guess you can go back then, unless I could reiterate the question really quickly. Well, let's see. Oh, how do you make random terrain? Oh, I had a very short answer for that, and that was I don't know. Sorry about that. I never messed around with that. So, anyways, sometimes Unity just doesn't work. Restart it. Yeah, I've had problems with that in Unity before. Like I've had problems with Unity like locking my scene view, and I just had to restart it. That was pretty annoying. Yeah. Restarting it's always usually the first thing you should try when you start getting weird glitches, which when you're first starting out, it's really hard to tell what's a weird glitch and what's a normal glitch. Unity 4 seems more glitchy. I don't know. Are you on PC or Mac? I'm on PC. I actually haven't had any glitches in Unity 4 yet. I mean, it could also be a drivers thing, just different video cards. That's one advantage that Apple has. They only use like one or two graphics cards, so building a app for Apple, you don't have as many factors to worry about. Unity 4 is better for me. It is better for me too, actually. I can't remember any specific glitches that I was getting, but I haven't had any glitchy experiences in Unity lately. Someone retweeted me. Woohoo! Alright. That's not an advantage. You can't customize hardware on Mac. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. I used to work on Mac and never again. Alright. Apple's good for some things. They're good sort of for people who are totally computer illiterate and people who have a lot of extra money. If you have a lot of money and you hate computers, sure, an Apple is good for you. But besides that, go with PC. Like, if you know what antivirus software is and you are responsible enough to renew your antivirus software once your antivirus software runs out. Get a PC. Well, actually, I don't know. It's so... Because also, you don't want to just buy a PC from Best Buy, like one of those store-bought, like, shelf PCs that, like, are, like, $300. Like, those are pieces of crap, too. I guess really when it comes down to it, build your own PC. That's the best solution. But it's also... the number of people who are actually going to build their own PC. Well, all right, well, pretty much everybody that we're talking to right now are game developers, which means that you guys are pretty much smart and technologically advanced compared to your average person. So I think probably everybody here is capable of building their own PC. I guess I was talking in generalities and thinking of like elementary school teachers and like people like that. Yeah. All right. Oh, here's a good one. ET-Ski, can you spawn rigid bodies with an emitter? I don't know exactly what you mean, but I guess that could mean multiple things. I guess as far as an emitter, you can definitely code one. I mean, I have ones inside of prototype recoil where it just shoots out tons and tons of rigid bodies. So that's really easy to do. That's just it's pretty much as simple as creating a gun that shoots bullets. You're just creating rigid bodies and having scripts on those rigid bodies to add force to those rigid bodies when you first create them. So that's one way. But also, I don't know about the new Unity particle system, but I know the legacy Unity particle system does have a physics interaction based stuff. I actually have it in Robot Zombies, where when you shoot a wall, some debris comes out, and this is all in particles, and the particles will bounce off of any objects with colliders in the scene that it hits. So I don't know if it's real physics. But I guess no physics inside a computer are real physics, so I guess it's real physics. But anyways, yeah. So it's you can't have them interact with any rigid bodies in your scene, but it's an effect that looks kind of cool. How do you do that? Look up Bergzerg Arcade. He has a tutorial on how to make snow. That is how I learned how to do it. It's like a 5-minute tutorial on how to make snow, and it really it's like the matter of like one checkbox. There's like one checkbox you gotta hit. I don't remember what that checkbox is. So yes, let's go back to Twitter. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Why are you moving? All right. You can register and download the pre-alpha right now. Cool. So if you guys want to register and get the pre-alpha. When are you going to live stream yourself trying to learn C#? I don't know yet, actually. I got to figure that out. I got to do it soon. Maybe on a weekday. I might have to end up doing it on a weekday. Or maybe I could do it like immediately after a show your work on Friday. Yeah, I can't, I'm gonna have to figure that out, but I will definitely be making a video on youtube.com/etski tutorials. I'll be putting out a video there letting you guys know, and I'm gonna make a big deal about it, so you guys will know, when I'm gonna be doing that. Are you going to create a tutorial about Mechanim? Oh yeah, I still need to do that. It'd be cool because Mechanim brings a lot of new possibilities. It definitely does. I have been using Mechanim in prototype recoil, and now that I understand it or have a basic understanding of it, and have gotten into it, like biggest step was getting into it because it is different. It's definitely different from the animation system that was previously in Unity 3.5, which it's still in there. It's just marked as legacy. It's way different from that. But it's a good difference. Like once you figure it out and once you get used to it, it is a very good improvement, and it makes getting your animations into your game much faster. So I will definitely have to eventually make a tutorial on that, but I'm gonna have to. I'll probably use like some free models. I'll use that that one zombie that says, doesn't he have a shirt that says like I'm with stupid or something like that, or like his shirt says something dumb and it's like a zombie and like it's used in every single Unity zombie game. I'll like do it with that guy maybe, or maybe some other model. Whatever model has like, well, I guess I can retarget whatever animations I want to him. So yeah, I probably will do that. I'll make a parkour zombie. I don't know. I'm just talking. Um. Anyways, what's your take on lighting? Um. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. What's my take on lighting? It's good. You can't see your game without lighting. Well, you could if you use unlit textures. Um, like I guess, are you talking about like dynamic shadows? I guess if we're talking, yeah, dual light mapping, baby. That's for sure. That is what I use inside of Robot Zombies, where I got all the light mapping in there, and then we use dual light mapping, and you put a flashlight on your gun or your main character inside of a first-person shooter. You can still see the bump maps and things, so you get the advantages of bump maps and light mapping. So dual light mapping is awesome. But if you're talking about like real-time shadows, personally, unless they're used very creatively and very skillfully, real-time shadows I've just gotten so used to that I'm not impressed by them anymore. Like I don't even really notice them. And I don't look at real-time shadows and think like, oh, that adds so much to this game. Like there's so many other factors that add more to a game than just real-time shadows. But yeah, as far as what other takes do I have on lighting? There's ways to performance optimize your lighting. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that goes on in lighting. I don't really have any opinion on lighting. I have information on different types of lighting that I could go over, but do you know any good tutorials for scripting? I don't know if you guys heard of Itiski tutorials. He has some he scripts in some of his tutorials. Um, but yeah, I'll eventually create a list on itiskitutorials.com of all my favorite tutorials, and then I'll just link everybody to it and like try to keep that all organized. Um, so yeah. Anyways, can you make live streams weekdays after 3 o'clock on CST time because of school? Um, I'm guessing you're in the United States. Well, I guess you could also be in South America or Canada. Um, but yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm eventually gonna make a video on ETSK tutorials where I just ask everybody just to tell me what time zone they're in and what time would be the best time for them to see a live stream, and then I'm gonna try to like tweak my time streams from then on to try to get the live streams like at the best time possible. But it's really hard to make live streams that are a good time for everybody because all my people are people who watch ETSK tutorials are just spread around the world. Like most of them are in the United States, then the United Kingdom, then Canada, but then after that it's like pretty evenly spread. I mean, just those three countries alone are like, well, I guess take United States and Canada are right next to each other, and then the UK is on like not the opposite side of the world, but it's really far away. So it's really hard to make times that are good for both of those. I'm trying to hit like right after school for America and like right before like too late for United Kingdom. Yeah, I don't know. It's something I'm still gonna have to tweak and figure out when all the best times and stuff will be. So yeah. Itiski, instead of right click open new window, you can just press the middle mouse button. Yeah, I knew that. I do that a lot. I gotta be careful though because I've like done also the middle mouse button can close a tab, which I've accidentally done. Like, I don't know if was it last live stream where I closed the Twitter feed like 3 times in a row accidentally, and I just felt so dumb after doing that. Um, how does the idea of space battleship with FPS. You teleport over to the enemy ship and wreak havoc. That would be really cool. That actually is a really cool idea. That's actually a really cool idea. Has anybody done that yet? I want to say there's something like I want to say that there was like a game that has that kind of idea where it's like a first person shooter, like you control it as a first person shooter, but it's a spaceship battle game. Was that just an idea or was there an actual game that has done that? Cuz that would be really cool. That would be perfect for Unity. That would be very perfect for Unity. Um but anyways, yeah, like FTL plus natural selection too. Yeah, that would be awesome. How cool would it be? Like what was the other game? Doom 3. Like, do you guys remember in Doom 3 when you would go up to a computer, your first person shooter would turn into like a mouse cursor and it just worked really flawlessly? Like, what if you made controls all like that and you could control your ship like that? That would be cool. All right, one of you guys get on it. That's your job. All right. What else is going on in chat? Also, what time is it? I think I'm way over the time limit. Yep. An hour and 35 minutes long. Um, what I would like to see is a real game with the concept of Hunger Games. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know much about Hunger Games. Actually, whenever I think of the Hunger Games, I always think of the book Halo: The Fall of Reach. Um, if any of you guys have read that, because it's like the idea of taking kids and putting them into a situation where they like fight each other and like they like you put like young kids into a situation where they have to become killers. And like I don't know, I started reading Hunger Games and I was like, these kids are wimps. Like read Halo The Fall of Reach and you'll be like, holy crap. Or what was the other one? Ender's Game. Both of those books, you'll read it and you'll be like, holy crap, these kids are like Vin Diesel. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, Halo Fall of Reach, that's like one of my favorite books. Ender's Game. Yep. That's the name of the book, Ender's Game. It's a good book. It's a classic. Definitely you should read that one if you like to read books. Ender's Game, and yeah, Ender's Game is like a book about this like boy genius clone who's like training to become a space commander to like save the world. It's really cool. Uh, do you play Minecraft? If not, why not? I can talk about this, but I'm going to make this my last question of this live stream because I actually need to go. But I don't play Minecraft. A lot of my friends play Minecraft. I've seen a lot of Minecraft, but I don't play it mainly because, like, I look at Minecraft and the coolest thing about Minecraft to me is that you can create your world. I don't know. It's just you go around and you mine things and you create things. Um, you would be pro at Redstone. Oh, are you talking about making a computer? Yeah, I've seen that people making computers inside of Minecraft. Um, but yeah, like it's like you make things, but like I make video games. So it's like either I can be limited to just a bunch of cubes with like 32 by 32 textures on them or like 16 by 16 textures on them, and I'm slowed down by having to be like, oh, I have to go get more sandstone or whatever. And then you have to go and you have to mine it and you have to manage all your resources. But like, I don't know. I feel like I could be spending that time actually creating a world that is fully mine as opposed to just this blocky world that can, it's, I don't know. So you don't like playing games, you like making games. Yeah, pretty much what it comes down to. It's like, I mean, well, I like playing games, of course, but uh, I don't know. I feel like a game that focuses so much on creation. I mean, craft is in the title of that game. You mine and you craft. So that's Minecraft. Um, and I don't know. I prefer to work and make. Like, I don't know. It's just like I can do so much more on my computer than I don't know. I just haven't gotten into Minecraft, I guess. Um, it's free on the website in a live stream. Wait, Minecraft is free now? Yeah, the fact that you can do like multiplayer in Minecraft is pretty cool. That'd be cool. Well, I guess you can do that in Unity. It's called the Team License. Yeah, I don't know much about Minecraft. And it's also one of those things where I feel like so many people are like so into it that I would just be so behind. And like, I don't know. How did you start making games? With Game Maker. Yeah, I started when I was in 7th grade. I think I was like 13 years old. I tried another program before Game Maker, and I only tried it for like 2 days, and then I gave up on it, and then I found Game Maker, and I was like, this is it. And I stuck with Game Maker for like 7 years actually. Dang. And then I moved on to Unity. Um, and Game Maker was a lot of like teaching myself, and I used the help, like the self help, like the manual, the digital manual that comes with Game Maker. I got most of my information from that. Um, Flash is actually good, but it's tricky. Um, yeah, Flash. I think Flash. I mean, Flash is meant to be an animation system first, and then like I mean, Flash does what everything Flash does. I don't know. I don't. I've never made a game in Flash, but I used to make animations in Flash a little bit. I used to dabble in it. Um, but I know that it's definitely tricky, and you have to really understand the system, and it's not geared towards games, but you can make games in it. The new Slender Arrival. It looks cool, but it feels like it's hard to prove that it is. I don't know. The one thing about that game is that people are describing it as the sequel to Slender, whereas that is not the case. Slender, the 8 Pages, is not the first Slender game. There was another one before it. It was the first Slender game to go viral. Um, and so it's not like the official Slender game. It's just like another Slender game from the guy who made the most viral Slender game. But I saw the trailer for it. It looks like it could be cool. They better make better gameplay because Slender the 8 Pages had the stupidest gameplay ever. So stupid. Let's be honest. You walk around and you collect pages while an enemy randomly kills you for no reason. Just like there are times where you just randomly die and like and you walk like so stupidly slow. Like it's I don't know. Um, but I mean, that's one of those games where I kind of look at it and think that the guy who made the game probably didn't realize that it would go viral. Like he probably made it in an afternoon and was like, "Oh, I have a couple of friends online that'll think this is funny," and then it went viral, and he was like, "Holy crap!" So, all right, let me check this last Twitter interaction, and then I gotta end the live stream because I gotta go. Extreme Ed is also cool. Aren't you the guy who made it? I should hope that you think it's cool. You made it. Or at least weren't you the guy that like sent me all the links to it? Yeah, everyone definitely go check out that stuff. All right, this guy said that he's on like a deadline and he really wants us to check this out. I will end the live stream eventually. Oh, I see. All right, well, if you guys want to help him out, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I gotta read all this. All right, fine, I'll read it. Okay. Okay, I just skimmed through it, but basically my short answer is to just create an array and save all of your spawn points in an array. And then you'll probably just want to create mathf.round, and then inside of the parentheses, random.range, and then inside of those parentheses, 0, comma, array of spawn points dot length, and then use that to determine where you're going to spawn your enemies. I think that basically is what maybe will help. I don't know. So hopefully that helped a little bit. If you guys have any better information than what I just gave, the link is in the chat. So, yep, thank you everybody who stuck around for this whole thing. This has been really fun. We'll be doing the same things, same time next week, unless otherwise stated from either one of my videos on youtube.com/etski-tutorials, or I might tweet if it's going to be like an hour later or an hour earlier or anything along those lines. So, any sort of like warning when live streams are going to start, any schedules changes, and also just the chat window, as you can see right there, is all going to be done through Twitter. So yes, if you want to follow at Etski, if you want those updates, and also just subscribe to Etski Tutorials. I assume that's how most of you found this live stream. So all the information also in the info tab in Twitch, so that I should be, like, as of right now, I should be pointing to it unless you're watching this on YouTube. So yeah, twitch.tv/Etski, and then go to the info tab, and I'm going to be keeping all of the scheduling information in there too, or that's going to be the main place of where it's going to officially all be. So yes, I gotta go. I know there's more questions for me to answer, but I gotta go. So I'll see you guys. Thanks for sticking around. And until the next time you guys see me and I see you and all that good stuff, keep making games. Come on, load. Load the outro. Thank you.